Hello cats and kittens, this is Lex and I am your Crochet Fiberist. This is episode 4, Homage. Today is, now I can see, it's October 13th, 2015, and welcome if this is your first time watching, and if you've been watching for a while, I'm glad you came back. This is primarily a crochet, spinning, designing, discussing kind of podcast. It's definitely niche, but you have been warned. So let's get started. I think I mentioned in the last episode in our traveling notes that I mentioned at the beginning that I was heading to a retreat, and I kind of set that retreat. That's kind of a tradition in my life to just go to this particular retreat. It's been going on for 7 years. Give me a second. Let me get my handy dandy drink, and when I'm done, I will be like other podcasters and tell you what I'm drinking. Delicious. I am drinking some carbonated sparkling water with Mio in it in this lovely vase. I don't know if you can see it. There we go. You can kind of see it. This lovely vase bottle, and it's glass, and I love it. And we could have a conversation about the environment, but there are enough preachers in my family, and I'm sure there are enough people telling you the facts, so we'll leave that for later. Anyway, great stuff. Love it. So, I went to my most enjoyable fiber experience of the year, and that is Cogknitive Fiber Retreat. Approximately 7-8 years ago, a wonderful woman named Dr. Gemma started a podcast where she discusses psychology and how it intersects with her fibering and creative life. It's a really fascinating romp through all sorts of different fiber crafts because she's into everything. She went through a phase where she was talking about restoring wheels, and that was my favorite time. It was so intriguing. But she talks about her hand spinning, her knitting, her crochet. She's a fully orbed kind of podcaster, and she's just wonderful. And I was lucky because when I used to live in SoCal, I was in her, we were part of the same fiber group in SoCal. So I kind of knew her before she was, not before she was Dr. Gemma, but before she was Dr. Gemma of Cognitive. And so every year she has a retreat in Tehachapi, which is the general vicinity-ish of, it's between Bakersfield and LA. It's closer to Bakersfield than LA. And it's a beautiful, tiny community. It's one of the first places in SoCal that really develops a fall. So you can see the leaves change, and you can see just the shift from summer. Granted, it's located in the high desert, so you got to take it within those parameters. But aside from that, it was a wonderful drive down there. I had an interview that Friday, so I drove up a little bit early and did my interview, and then I drove and stayed with a friend. And on Saturday, the fiber retreat started, and there are always a couple of classes. Her fiber retreat is very informal, so there's a lot of downtime. There are vendors. There's excellent vendors. The Yarn Over truck showed up this year. Redfish Dye Works. If you have not seen their yarn and their fiber, you must see it in person. They're in Stitches West. Some local to them fiberists, the Fickle Knitter, who is fantastic. RK's mom, which I will get to in a little bit because she's fantastic. And there's a guy who does, who makes pendants and stuff. He's excellent. He's amazing. And Slip Stitch Studios, gosh, be myself. There were so many people who come, and it's a lot of fun. And 40 men and women just kind of descend on these vendors, and we splurge and enjoy ourselves. There is the yearly speech that Gemma does by the pool at the La Quinta in Tehachapi, where she just kind of gives us, she just tells us to have fun every year, and we always do. Then there are classes. There tend to be about 8 classes. Wait. 1, 2, no, actually 6 classes. And the first classes of the day were meditation and belly dancing with one of the best teachers. I think she's one of the only people who's taught every year, and it's Mindy, and she's excellent. You should have taken that class. I should have taken that class, but I decided to do the meditation exercise with Dr. Gemma, and like there was a ton of people for that, and it was really, really fun and really good. There are a lot of knit classes using knitting apps. 2 socks at a time. What else was there? Oh, a drop spindling class, which was awesome. And then a crochet class that I taught, which was rediscovering stitches. And that is actually going to be something we'll talk about later, because that's going to roll into our crochet tech section. By the way, we will have our standard operating procedure as far as what we will be talking about today. We've got just our kits, kitting it out. We've got my bucket list project and wearable art, definitely cognitive edition. We've got Spinmeister, actually a couple of things to talk about there. I have a segment called Read All About It. I think this might be a new segment, and I love to read. And I read both for my own enjoyment and to learn more about fiber crafting. And I've got another new section I'm going to call Some Positivity, because I was listening to a couple of podcasts of mine, a couple episodes, and I realized that it kind of sounded down, and I don't want to be that person. So I want to add some positivity. Put it into the world and allow that positivity to make me happy as well. A Fave Fiberist, that's another new addition to our lineup. So I think we should get started. As I talk, I'll talk a little bit more about the Cogknitive Fiber Retreat. But needless to say, it was excellent. We went to great places to eat. We mingled with everybody. We had the most glorious time. And it was really hard to say goodbye this weekend. It always is. So let's get started. So in kitting it out, this is going to be a fun edition, I think. Let me get started. Let me make sure my notes are correct. Okay, we'll do that one. This is, I know I mentioned that I'm not going to do like an enabling segment. I've tried to move back from that given circumstances, but every once in a while you see something and you must have it. You must. It doesn't make any sense. Sometimes it's an amazing Totoro backpack that your husband bought you when he went on his travels. Sometimes it is this bag. I like to call myself, this is an aside, I like to call myself nerd adjacent because I'm not necessarily nerd savvy, but I'm surrounded by people in all aspects of my life that are incredibly nerdy in the most positive way ever. So while I don't have a personal attachment to this, I've heard enough people speak about it that I kind of have this vicarious attraction to what I'm about to show you. I normally don't talk about my bags because I get them in a myriad of different ways, but this bag is awesome. So take a look. I don't know. Oh yeah, you should be able to see that. That, boys and girls, is Link from Zelda, and this is the coolest drawstring bag. The designer, oh, look at the card. The card is from, the artistry from the card is from one of the fiber persons at the Cognitive Retreat, and here's the back of the card. The artist is RK's mom, and she is on Etsy. Just look up RKSMON, and you should be able to find her. She does custom orders, she does tote bags, she does zipper bags, she does a lot of drawstring bags, and they're quirky and nerdy and fabulous. I asked her to look around and see if she could find some Deadpool fiber, because that is one of the few things I am nerdy about, and that would be so freaking epic. I'm probably going to need a Bat Family one too, but we'll deal with that later. So, very cool bag. I love the green. The bag is just incredible. It's she does really good work, and it's beautiful, and I don't know what else to say. I just love, love, love this particular bag. So what's in this bag, boys and girls? Well, I took the hook out, which was probably a good idea because I'm going to have to start from scratch. But this was my faux weight cardigan, but I counted my my increases for the sleeves and found out that I wasn't adding enough stitches to one side, so I'm going to have to take this all the way out, and I'm kind of heartbroken, but I think it'll be good in the long run. So the yarn is, we might have a free skein. The yarn is Shbui, and the new, very new yarn, Dune. I can't, if you can see it. There we go, Dune. The colorway is Cove. I've been buying, when I was buying yarn, and Shbui had done their new colors, I was addicted to their bluey green kind of offering, and this is awesome. The fiber content is alpaca, camel, and silk, which is really interesting that there are two camelids mixed with the silk. So this is going to be incredibly drapey, insanely drapey. I think it's perfect for a cardigan. The other option I had was just a regular sweater, and I didn't think that it would have quite the structure I wanted in a regular sweater, but as a cardigan, it's just going to be perfect. And the faux weight cardigan is kind of my homage to the featherweight cardigan that is so popular these days. So this is actually kit the 21st, and it's on my Ravelry page, my Ravelry project page if you're interested. So that is the first project I was working with, and I was working on it at the Fiber Retreat, and yes, there was wine, and why do you ask? That's why I have to tear it out. It's not so bad though. So numero 2 is, actually it's kit the 22nd, and I know this is going to be very controversial, but the only thing let me go back. The thing that I am most interested in knitting are socks. In fact, I still have socks on a needle in my basket of kits. That is the only knitted thing I have in that I'm currently working on. I've been working on that for 6 months, and I'm still on the ribbing because it's top down. So what I'm saying is I really am interested in the construction of socks, and if it can be translated to Tunisian. I haven't had a lot of luck. For example, see these. I made these a couple before the, I didn't even weave in ends because they're kind of ugly, but I made these before I started podcasting, and because one of the things I like to do every year is have some slipper socks for my feet, because I get really super cold during the winter. Normally I do just straight crochet, and it's fine, it's perfect, and I like it, and I've made socks that I really love, including this lovely pair of possum socks that developed a hole and broke my heart. Anyways, so that's something I do every year, and my first attempt at doing it in straight Tunisian has been terrible. It just is. I still wear them as kind of slippers around the house, but I don't like them. Here is what I think is a good start. It's not perfect, but it's a good start. Here we go. I don't like long socks, so it works out that way. So here it is. Ignore that hole. But here it is. This is my Tunisian sock. The foot is completely Tunisian. The toe is regular crochet, and as is the heel. I found that I was having a hard time figuring out a good Tunisian toe, so I worked a stitch that I will be talking about in our crochet tech class. This stitch is the Trinity stitch, and it creates a really almost ribbed effect. And the thing I really like about it is it's really, really structured, and you can't see through the fabric, which is great. But it's really strong, which is really important to me. But yeah, I'm using the Tunisian weave stitch that I've been talking about. If you went back to episode 1A, you should have seen my casting on for the Tunisian weave stitch. And I'm kind of using that just all the way through for the body. It was an interesting experiment. Let me finish the next socks and we'll talk about it. The yarn is Handmaiden Casbah in a one-of-a-kind colorway. It didn't have a name. And so yeah, these are a little controversial, but they'll be perfect for this winter, and I will be nice and toasty warm. So that was kit 22nd, I believe. Correct? Yes. And finally, we have kit 23. We have one more thing to talk about, but we'll talk about it later. No, we'll talk about it now. Here is kit 21 in my Daiso Japan linen bag. It was $1.50. That's awesome. And yeah, every day is natural style. Yeah. What are you going to say to that? Sure, why not? What I'm working on is, it's not much of anything yet. I think I might have showed you this on my Lambtown episode, which I think I posted on last Saturday, I think. So this yarn is Deep Creek Yarns, and I got this at Lambtown, and Deep Creek Yarns is the yarn company. The website is, crud, can I get that out? I don't really like taking it out, because then it's going to be a bear putting it back in. Let's see. Here. I think she does her work primarily here in NorCal. She is the proprietress, also owns the Warner Mountain Weavers, and she's in Cedarville. And there is the card. I will put that in the show notes. By the way, if you want to know where the show notes are, when I post on YouTube, the notes that I have under, just like the notes of what we talked about, that's where I put the show notes. I don't have, like I said, once we get to 10 episodes, I'll create a website, and it'll be super cool. But for now, that's where it's going. So this yarn is called Alpaca Marl, and it's a beautiful sport weight, almost boucle, but it's not spun that harsh to become a boucle. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's just beautiful alpaca. And the colorway is Thunderstorm. And what I'm doing is a kind of like a Cocoknits inspired cocoon, what do they call it? Shrug, where it just kind of wraps around your body. And the way I'm starting it is, I think, pretty interesting. I'm going to create 2 trapezoids. One, they're going to be facing each other, and then I'm going to pick up on the sides to create the sleeves and the rest of the body of the project. So I'm really excited. I haven't gotten very far. What is this? Maybe 5 rows. And I'm using a stitch I am calling it. I've not seen it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But it is in the Tunisian weave tradition. I'm calling it a crossed stitch rib. So I'm really enjoying it. It's beautiful. It feels good in my hands. The hook I'm using is the Addy attachment Tunisian hooks that you can get when you get the click needles. You can get the Tunisian attachments as well. So that's what I'm using. And I'm hoping to have this done by November-ish, because I want to be warm. And when I start my new position, I want to have something, I want to have kind of like an office sweater that is kind of trendy, but actually keeps me warm. I want it to look good, but it needs to keep me warm. So I think this will do that. So, sorry. So that was kit the 21st. No, that was kit the 23rd. All right, and now I don't really consider this a kit because it hasn't become a kit yet. You know what? I will talk about that later. Let's move on to wearable art. As you can tell, it's starting to get cooler. I don't know where you are. I'm in NorCal. It's a lot cooler than it was in SoCal, but I still brought a few pieces with me when I went down, and here's what I brought. And I think you guys have seen these before. My far cap, my far hat. I think I'm going to call it a far cap because it's not like a slouchy hat like this hat. So this is made out of Woolfolk far in the, I don't know if this is a black or the gray. I think it's a grayish, a really dark gray, because I've seen the black recently and that's like phenomenal. So I had that. Let's see. My Ziggurat, which I take practically everywhere I go. This is just a great wrap to have around my neck, and it's fantastic. I love this piece. So there's that. Of course, my professional sweater. Did I bring the other sweater here with me? Oh my gosh, sweater. Professional. Everybody seemed to like this a lot. I really like this. It holds up really well, and it's just beautiful. And this one was in the Trinity worsted Sweet Georgia fibers. And of course, I gotta say, this is still my favorite, even though it gets snags like you would not believe. My faux weight cardigan. I love this piece. It's really great. I wear it everywhere now, and it works with all of my pieces. And of course, my Starbrite hat I was wearing because I did not have a lot of great hair days. And I'm going to stand up and show you this piece that I made prior to the podcast, prior to me doing podcasts. So this is called my format shell, and it's made out of rosy green wool and the slate blue, and it's just a top down in the round easily shaped piece that I made because I wanted it to wear over all sorts of things. So I really like that. And I did wear this, well, no, I'm just wearing this now, but this is my my wedge Mobius cowl, and I like it because it works so well with this, even though they're not together. So this piece is just 100% merino sport weight, rosy green wool. I believe that is like super organic-y. It's from Germany. This is a merino camel blend that I don't remember the name of. So there's that. And wow, before we go too much further, I forgot my bucket list project. And you guys almost got me to sing. I almost was planning to sing a song because this project is an homage to a song, and kind of an homage to other shawl-like pieces. This piece is called Sonnentanz, and I don't know if you remember, but maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I can't be sure because I don't watch TV, I don't listen to the radio, so by the time I hear something, it's long been popular. There's a song called Sonnentanz by this German group and this young British dude. And like I heard the version that was like they probably played at the rave, and it was epic. But then I heard the young writer and songwriter, the singer-songwriter, do an acoustic version, and he just, oh my gosh, it was so sweet and soulful. I dug it. So, and I wish I had the other version of this, but I'll have to go with what I have. So after I heard that song about 6 months later, I kind of created this. And I don't know how well this is going to show. This is Sonnentanz. I'm assuming, and I don't remember what Sonnentanz means. I know it has something to do with the sun. So this is just a really simple experiment when I was really trying to figure out how to do shawls in the Tunisian weave stitch. And it starts with a couple of rows of the Tunisian knit stitch, some pearls, there's some rays that are getting larger as you go down the piece, and then finally it ends with these jagged edges at the end. The yarn is pashmina, Galer yarns, which is, I think, one of the softest yarns I've ever worked with. It's really incredible. One of the things I learned in this piece was from Stephen West, and you all know who he is. He's excellent. And he has a class on Craftsy called Shawlscapes, and he was talking about a garter tab cast on. Fascinating. So I adapted it to my Tunisian experimentation to create a Tunisian weave knit tab cast on. And I find that that allows me opportunities and stretch that I would not have otherwise. And I find that really, really interesting. So I think this is kind of like an homage to both that really beautiful song and kind of a personal, internal thank you to somebody like Stephen West, who creates such beautiful pieces. And that's really how I conceive of homages. One of the projects I was working on with the Alpaca Marl is kind of like an homage, a thank you, and a deep respect to Cocoknits and her designs. The faux weight cardigan is kind of like an homage to the featherweight cardigan. I really like just kind of giving a wink to those beautiful pieces. It's kind of like a personal, hey, you really respect that, and that's something that I'm pretty passionate about. So that was my bucket list project. I need to make another one. I'm actually having a hard time figuring out what kind of yarn. I'm thinking a hard twist sock weight yarn would be a better option next time around, because I'm going to block the daylights out of it, and then we can sit and talk about, you know, how to construct a project like that. So that was my bucket list project. Now let's go back. Let's go back to wearable art. This is a piece that I finished once I got back home from the Cogknitive Fiber Retreat, and it wasn't in a kit because I was working on it between the last episode and getting back, so it didn't really have a bag where it was living. But this is called, let me put it on. It's lovely and long and luscious. this, boys and girls, is my corrugated ribbon shawl, and I used my Tour de Fleece yarn. I had a big ball, and I think if you can find me on Instagram, I'm Alexicom with a 3 instead of an E. You can find this beautiful giant ball of yarn, and it was essentially, I had a strand of cashmere, because I had a bunch of cashmere this year in a beautiful blue color, and I just had all my bits of blue, and I just spun up all the other blues and plied it with that color. So this stitch, I don't know if you can see it, but it is kind of like a corrugated aesthetic. And then I did what I'm calling a stitched on edging, and it's just a cable. It's just 2 cables next to each other, and worked it all the way down. And so it's really, really beautiful. It was about 600 yards of yarn, I want to say. It's huge, and I love it. I love it so much that even though this isn't really part of the kits either, it's something that I've been working on. I decided that I would make another set, another one. So this is where I started it last night. This is what I have so far. I think this is maybe 46, 47 rows, or 47 stitches. It's beautiful, and for the kind of ribbon section, I've got this. Actually, I have 2 of these. I have 2 of this yarn and 2 of this yarn. So what I'm going to do is do a project where it's just, where one of them is all, where the first one is going to be all this color and then the blue at the edge, and then the next one's going to be all blue with the purple at the edge. And the yarns for that are, the blue yarn is Finito, and the, I don't know if this is a Soleils or Mare. It's hard, it's always hard to tell. Got so much of this yarn. Mares. And this is one of the prettiest versions of it, because I have a bunch of this Finito, but I've never seen a color this blue-green. And for the purple yarn, this is a treat. This is Malabrigo Uruguay. I don't know if you can see, it says super fine merino, and it is 168 yards, and the colorway is Paris Night. And what's unusual about this is the Finito is a little thinner, and I think it's about 16, 17 microns. This is 14.5, and it's almost impossible. It's the only place you can find it is Imagine It, which is in San Fran. Luckily, you can buy it online, and it's just a really incredibly soft yarn. This is the softest commercial yarn you can find. It's just not as easy to get a hold of. So that is what I'm working on as far as that's concerned. So I'm hoping to get that done within the month. And what I'm thinking about doing is making some mitts, and to kind of make a kit, or to kind of make a set, and then giving one of those versions away, because I don't need both of them. And I think it would be really cool to maybe give them away for the podcast. So as we get closer, we'll see how that works out. And by the way, this is in my, what is this? Sonia Kashuk. I don't know if you go to Target at all, and storm their cosmetic bag section. Sonia Kosik has really cool bags, and so every time I go in, when I used to go in regularly, I'd pick up a bag, and these are great for project bags. So there's that. All right, is that everything? I think we need to talk about some Spinmeister, which is awesome. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. One more thing that is kind of wearable art, though it was just a sample for a class. This. I didn't even weave in the ends. This is a little mitt that I made for my rediscovered stitches. The stitch is the Trinity stitch, and yes, it does fit, and I did it a couple nights before the fiber retreat. And the yarn is, again, that super fine merino Malabrigo. I had some left over in a blue, so that's what this is. And I was just trying to show the class the difference between the stitch and the round, and a variation I use when I do a straight back and forth crochet piece. So there's that. Right? We are into Spinmeister. Oh! Well, I haven't spun on Pennyworth in a long time. It makes no sense because Pennyworth is in my room. Grayson is in my room right now too. Grayson is my Spinolution. I did say I would show him one day. I had some Hog Island fiber on him, and I'll show that next week, but I haven't really gotten anything done. But when I went to the Cognitive Fiber Retreat, I thought I was going to use bring some cashmere merino and just spin that. But normally I bring one of my wheels. This time I didn't. So I figured I'd bring a spindle, and I decided to bring my current favorite spindles. So let me grab it and show you it. This is called the Super Combo, and it's from KCL Woods. I got this for my birthday this year. It is a super combo, and as you can see, there are extra shafts for this particular spindle, and a what do they call this? Oh, a fennel with a hook. If you want to make it's like an interchangeable spindle. It's kind of epic. So you've got your fennel with your hook. You've got 2 extra shafts. You've got this fennel for bottom whirl and support spindling. Who knew, huh? And the whirl right there in the shaft. And they're completely interchangeable. It's so epic. And this particular spindle is 0.72 ounces. So it's not super, it's heavy, but it's not super heavy. I'm in love with bottom whirl right now, so that's hence the configuration, especially in this. I don't have any other bottom whirl spindles, so here it is. It's beautiful. I love it. So anyway, I like getting a couple seconds with Dr. Gemma, and she does this with everybody, just talks and, you know, shoots the breeze. She's awesome. And I was talking to her, and she gave me a most generous, most beautiful gift, and let me show you it. She lives on a farm in SoCal, in that vicinity, and she has a horse, she has llamas, she has alpacas, she has a billion dogs, and so she lives in it's a beautiful place. And so a couple of years ago, she got alpacas, and then she got some llamas, and the last year, I think, she got them sheared, and she got them turned into roving, and she was so sweet, and she gave me this. Do you see? This is from her flock, her herd, and it's just absolutely stunning, and it's llama, and I think it kind of spins like alpaca, but it's a little rougher, but not in a bad way. I think as a shawl, it's going to be incredible. Here's what it looks like so far, or here's how I did it on bottom whirl, because I just wanted to see. It's pretty incredible. I like it a lot. I can't wait to work on it some more. We'll see how that works out. I'm really excited though. So thank you, Gemma. You're beyond excellent, and I really do appreciate it. All right, what's next? We've got a Read All About It, which is our new segment about what I am reading, whether it is fiber related or not. I'm currently reading an Audible. The best part about Audible is that you can be part of their monthly club, and you get 2 credits for like $22, and you can buy things that otherwise would be absurdly overpriced, not overpriced, but absurdly expensive. So a couple of months ago, I got my 2 credits, and I'd have forgotten about them. And one of the things I got was the Great Courses, which is a really, really interesting kind of do-it-yourself learning program where, you know, this very well respected professor talks about their any given subject. And I got the Great Courses, and the subject was creative writing, which has always been something I'm passionate about. In fact, instead of getting my technical writing degree, I almost got a creative writing degree because I really love it that much. So that's what I've been listening to. It's been really soothing, and it makes me happy, and I'm less likely to watch TV or watch Netflix like on a binge, which is good. So there's that. Now on the craft side, I have a lot of crochet books and a lot of knitting books, and I use them both as references. I don't really work patterns necessarily. I do work a lot of swatches of things I like. So for the crochet side, this is Blueprint Crochet sweaters by Robin Chula, I believe. She is fantastic. Oh my gosh, I've been lurking on her blog, Crochet by Fave, for years. She's so friendly, and she has a couple of classes on Interweave, on the Interweave store, which is amazing. She's so personable and so easy to understand, and she has so much enthusiasm. I love watching her. And she does these really cool motif projects. I did say, I told you, I would normally not follow anybody's patterns. This is one of the few things I don't know how much, well, let's just show you that. Okay? That is what I want. I kind of want one of those because it's just stunning, and it's made up of motifs. And I also love the yarn, which is Surrey Merino. So I'm really, really excited about that. And it's the first pattern I've seen in a really long time in crochet that I wanted to actually make. So I might have to hunt down some appropriate yarn from one of my kits and make that, because it's just stunning. I love that piece. Let's see. Yeah, I think that might be my favorite piece in the whole book. Yeah. So there's that. And she also has tons of information, different constructions of sweaters in crochet, which is the best part, one of the best parts of crochet. And she does really good work, and it's really lovely. The ideas are worth their weight in gold and worth whatever you paid for it. Sorry. So let's go to the next book, which is knitting. And I have a ton of knitting dictionaries and knitting books because I adapt things that are adaptable. And I'm also curious just about the mechanics of knitting. I told you I don't knit, but it's not that I don't find the fabric interesting and fascinating. It's just that I like incorporating it into Tunisian and regular crochet. But so yeah, I have a ton of knitting books. It's kind of insane. And if my friends knew how many knitting books I had, they'd be like, "Why don't you knit?" So anyway, so I was at an LYS maybe 3 months ago and found this Japanese knitting patterns. Awesome, right? Right? It's kind of was quite pricey. And they're all sorts of really beautiful knit patterns. And the best thing is it's all symbols, which would make sense. This is a Japanese knitting book. And I find, for me personally, when I'm knitting, it makes more sense for me to work with symbols rather than words. It's the same with crochet. I'd rather use symbols. And that's actually how I learned how to work crochet, by reading a pattern. I don't like reading words. It's very weird because normally that's how my brain works. But when it comes to using something, matching something in your head that you're going to have to, physically make with your hands, I like seeing a representation. That's just how I roll. So this is a really good one. I have a couple of, let me see if I can show you a couple of things I loved. Ooh. This one, the 150, I don't know how you can see that. It's gorgeous, isn't that? I love it. And 143, right there. It's just gorgeous. There's so many different patterns, and yeah, I could find it in a regular knit stitch dictionary, but a lot of times they try to write things out, and I'm just like, no, it doesn't work for me. So I'm really excited to have this in my repertoire as well. And let me check my notes, because I think that might be everything. No, some positivity. There's so many things I could choose from, but I will choose one in the last 6 months. A happy moment for me. Maybe a year. So within last year, I was working for a private aviation company, and I had made the acquaintance of a lot of different pilots, including this fellow who came to our, he used to be somebody who worked at the company, but he was retired. He still came to visit all the time, though. So he came in one day, and he asked me and my coworker if we wanted to go out in his plane. And it was a Cessna, I think it was 152. It seated like 4 or 5 people. So me and my coworker were like, heck yeah. And our boss was really super cool about it. So we hopped in his very, very nice late model, I don't know if it was a Beamer or a Mercedes, I don't know, and hopped in his car and drove the extra 2 miles to the airport. And there's a private side of the airport just for people who have private aircraft. And we got in his plane and we flew off for burgers at a golf course. It was so cool. Apparently that was something that was done all the time, because they had a tiny landing strip at the golf course. So, and you could see different people who brought their planes and flew out just for a burger or to do a few rounds of golf. And that was something that is seared in the back of my mind. It was so much fun. The best part was, so we ate and we had a really great meal. He paid for everything. He was so sweet. And then when we headed back, we were flying over the mountains because we were in San Jose, and we had to fly over some mountains. And he does this 360 turn and cuts off the engine and does this 360 turn. It was terrifyingly amazing. I think I still have pictures. If I do, I'll put them in, I'll stick them on Instagram. If not, it was just a wonderful memory. And even now, when I feel like things aren't going the best, I think about that, and I'm like, I've had some really, really incredible experiences as a human being. So yeah, that is some positivity. And, oh yeah, finally, my favorite fiber is styling, wherein I discuss the people and Fiberist that really make my fiber life better and more pleasant. This week it was my fiber friends at Cognitive Fiber Retreat. Everybody is so friendly there, and it's so laid back, and honestly I just treat it like I'm home, because it's in SoCal, in the general vicinity, where me and quite a few of the people who attend used to be in a yarn group. So it just felt like an extension of our yarn group. It's much fun. You meet so many people. There have been quite a few folks that come from NorCal. I believe there's somebody who comes from Idaho, which is insane. And it's always fun, and you always see a new face. And the thing that Gemma always stresses is, please come join a group. Don't be shy. And granted, that's something I need to remember, to invite people I've never seen before, because it's so easy to get into a sense of, belonging, that you're inadvertently making other people feel like they don't belong. And I'd hate to do that, because I've been at the receiving end of that, and granted it's a perception thing, but you don't even want a hint of that perception. So I still think about it, and I'm just like, I would rather be here than anywhere else in the world right now. It was that feeling. So that's all I have to say about that. And we are at the end of the episode. Our tech corner, which is a separate episode, will be part 1 of my rediscovered stitches, and it's going to be kind of an expanded edition, because I didn't get a chance to talk about all the things I wanted to talk about. But please friend me on Ravelry and Instagram. I don't take as many pictures as I should, but I'm going to start. And I hope you enjoy your week, and I will see you later. Bye.